All right, we are live. Welcome to our weekly Whys today. This is our 9th week of doing these. A lot of fun. So to our online audience, welcome. Glad to have you here. And just to give you a brief idea, if you haven't been to these before, what it's about, what Weekly Whys is, why we have it, why we started it. Some time ago, it's back in April, so a few months, I hosted Ben & Jerry's Free Cone Day here at my house, since we don't have a Ben & Jerry's here in Utah. And that implied purchasing a lot of ice cream. I purchased over 1,500 pints of Ben & Jerry's for that.
Oh my goodness.
So it was a lot of fun. However, due to weather and things, not as many people showed up as we anticipated, and I have a lot of leftover ice cream to the tune of, I had 3 full chest squeezers in my garage full of Ben & Jerry's. It's pretty awesome, to tell you the truth. But we did wonder, what are we going to do with all this ice cream? I mean, I don't mind eating it, don't get me wrong. But we bought it to share it.
That much and just stay the same.
we bought it to give it away, we bought it to share. And we wanted to also integrate it somehow with our business. And so we came up with this, Weekly Whys. And we didn't want to just make it about our business. We wanted to do something above and beyond that. Make it more about value, not hey, come here, a sales pitch of some sort to get some ice cream. That didn't resonate with us. That just didn't feel right. So we wanted to provide a lot of value, tell people about what we do in the process, but also create an event where if you had interest in coming, like if this piqued your interest, it was something you wanted to be at, then by the nature of it, you'd probably be interested in hearing what we do and what our business is about. We wanted to create that kind of relationship. So that's what we've done here with the Weekly Whys. And we are very excited today to have our own Sasha McAllister with us to present and talk to us today about how proper perspective, I can never say that, I always say perspective. Proper perspective, there we go. Don't say it 10 times fast.
No, that's easy.
Proper perspective equals dreams accomplished dreams. And I'm very excited to hear what she has to say. Sasha, for those that have not met her, don't know her, I don't know her extremely well, but I know her a little bit, and I do know that relationships. So that's oh, that startled me.
Sorry, I just tested it.
Yeah, you're good. Thank you. She is someone who I know has had a wealth of life experience, even at her young age. Has her mom could probably attest that she's had a trip that turns a mother's heart through the course of her life. But where she is now is phenomenal. So I'm so thankful to have her. Well, I mean it. She's a go-getter, and frankly, if I can use the word, I can see her, and I think she's quite spunky. I got a lot of spunk to her.
There you go.
So very glad to have her here. Welcome you up.
Okay, well, I am Sasha McAllister, for those of you who don't know me. And today we are talking about proper perspective. I feel like proper perspective is extremely important in anybody's journey on reaching their dreams. So we're going to start with me kind of giving a little bit of background about me and how I came from the turning your mother's heart to being spunky, I guess. So I guess, well, growing up, and gotta stop, man. Growing up, I guess you could say, was not the most pleasant experience. A lot of good times, obviously, but a lot of tough stuff mixed in. So all growing up, lots of trials, lots of pain. Everybody has trials, everybody has pain, but I kind of really internalized it really negatively. And as I got older and older, I started acting out more and more because I couldn't cope with all my issues. And so I started doing pretty much everything you're not supposed to do, pretty much everything that would break a mother's heart. And so I was trying to find, I guess, peace and happiness and joy and all these things that we strive for in all the wrong places. And I remember, and honestly, this all goes back to my mom being so incredibly intuitive. She had this very strong impression that she needed to send me to this particular youth camp. And I'm sure she knew I would not want to go. But she one day felt extremely impressed that she needed to go and send me to this camp. Well, they didn't have any money to send me to this camp. But she felt like it was important enough, and that she just felt like it was a really important thing for me to do. So she spent, how much was it, $500?
Yeah, at that time, we usually didn't have even that much money, and we had just gotten our tax return.
Oh, so that was a miracle. Yeah. So they miraculously had this money set aside for probably groceries, and and it got spent on that. So I remember coming home, and I just come back from a party that I probably shouldn't have been at. And so I wasn't exactly all there.
I had no idea.
You weren't even sober.
Yeah. So my mom was like, well, you're going to this youth camp. And she was all excited and gung-ho about it. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. Don't make me go. But of course, she's a parent, I'm a kid, so I have to go. So I went, had a terrible, terrible attitude the first 2 days. Actually ended up getting the cops called on me. But luckily, that was the extent of cop involvement, because my leaders decided to sit down with me. And this whole camp was probably the biggest turning point in my life thus far. These leaders, they're like, well, we don't want to ship you off with the police to your house. And I was in Utah, and I lived in Idaho, so they would have had to drive me all the way to Idaho to my parents' house in a cop car. That would not have gone over very well. So they sat me down and they said, hey, what is going on? Why are you behaving in these ways that are unacceptable? And I've been asked that a million times. And for some reason, I call it divine intervention. I had my walls down for just that moment of all these blocks of don't let people in, don't let you feel anything beyond, just because it taps into all the pain. But for some reason, I felt like I could let my guard down, and I talked to them a little bit about what was going on. I remember they were sitting there, and they started expressing to me their outlook on life and why caring about life mattered. Because I was to the point where I didn't care anymore. Living didn't matter. It was a waste of time. And so they talked to me about how having the right perspective and realizing that life does matter, and there is so much more to be had in life than the next day or the next hour or high school, because I felt like it was this huge thing that mattered so much. And that kind of helped me realize, instead of looking at life at a very micro level of all, YOLO, this is all that matters, is just this moment, who cares about tomorrow? To look at it much more big picture and see, well, where do you want to be in 10 years? Where do you want to be? What goals do you have? What dreams do you have? What do you want to aspire to be? And so we were talking about all of this, and I just felt very strongly impressed, again, my belief, divine intervention, that I needed to change big time. I needed to make a life makeover, you could say. So that's essentially what I did kind of overnight. The rest of the camp went really well. I made a lot of close friends that I'm still friends with today. And it was very inspiring, motivating, and I felt very energized from this camp that I had so not wanted to go to. So I go back home. I get to go back home and basically start over. I was like, okay, everything I'm doing is clearly wrong. I've never felt so happy as when I felt at that camp. So everything they were doing must have been right for me. So I need to mimic those things in my life and have that perspective of life matters, which was new. Having this big, wide perspective of life matters was a very new thing. And so I started trying to think about the future more, trying to just make better choices. I stopped all those terrible lists of things I was doing. I stopped it cold turkey, and never really went back. I lost a lot of friends. That was hard because you're no longer the life of the party when you're not at the party, because you don't go to them anymore. But and very shortly after this camp, I actually met my husband, which again was very meant to be, because he would have never ever given me the time of day in a million years had he met me 2 weeks prior. And from there, we got married, all this stuff started happening, and I felt like I was rising, doing all these great things, really keeping this perspective. But then, kind of like I think everybody does when they have accomplished something or they're getting better or more successful at something, they kind of hit a block of they've reached that level they were striving for, but now what now? What do I do now? And so that's kind of where I was about 6 months ago. I was feeling like, well, I've come so far. I've made all these great accomplishments and changes, but what now? I feel like I've kind of plateaued. So what do I do now? And so it brought me back to the whole perspective thing. It's like, well, I have these big goals of, get married, do things in the right order, get my finances in order, all these things, which were really big goals for me at the time. But now it's like, well, you hit this level, so maybe expand your perspective even more. And so, then I was thinking, well, what could I do as far as, especially career-wise, what could I do that I would love, I would enjoy, to help me get to where I want to go, but I also enjoy it at the same time. And so there's been a lot of focus on that, and a lot of, I guess you could say, belief breakthroughs. I've recently decided to, you probably heard of the meeting, I recently decided to do a bikini competition. And that really stretched my perspective of not immediate thinking of, because I still get to eat and have fun and everything, but you have to be much more strict and track your food and everything. And so it's even helping me with that of, this hamburger. In this immediate moment, is it going to get me where I want to go in life? Because I feel like every choice you make throughout the day, you should ask yourself, is this going to get me to my next goal? And if it's not, then maybe you should really reevaluate your next achievement.
Your next pint of Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, see, why couldn't it have been salad, man?
Although if it fits your macros.
If it fits your macros, you can eat it. So I saved up. I saved up for tonight.
Awesome.
I did. No judgment, man. I saved. So anyway, so this has been a new stretch for me of, get up early, go work out, all these things that, in the actual that day, I'm like, I don't necessarily want to do this, but then I have to remember the end game. Like, well, you're getting on that stage no matter what, so either you're going to look like a busted can of biscuits or you're going to look good. So you might want to make that decision. So that thought kind of crosses my mind every morning, and I'm like, well, I guess it's time to get that perspective. So a question I've gotten a lot about perspective when I talk to people about it is, how do you, maybe you have perspective, like you already have that piece, but what about the goals? So I have a lot of friends who are either single mothers or stay-at-home moms, and they're like, well, my life is consumed by my kids, by my family, and how do I find the goals that I need to push me to the next level? And so I guess for anybody who's at that point, at that plateau of, I've come through so far, but I need to expand. Obviously we've talked about this all the time, proper mindset, proper affirmations, things like that to help your perspective, getting a vision board. And, we have good friends that help teach about vision boards, is extremely important because it helps you. I mean, every day waking up and seeing your perspective, basically, your goals, what you want to accomplish is huge. So that, when I hear people say, well, how do I do it? How do I find goals? That's typically what I would tell them. And a lot of them, it seems to be interesting. They don't even know what they like. They're like, well, how do I know what goals I want? How do I get this perspective? I don't even know what I want. It's like, you need to do some big soul searching if that's the case. If your life is just your kids, and I'm not saying that's not a great thing, but you do need your own space too. So find hobbies that you really like and try to expand on those, like Ben and Jerry's. Taking life to the next level with ice cream, people. Which I think is awesome. So there's those things. So right now I'm going to ask who wants to volunteer, mom or dad. We get to come up here and share an experience. And depending on time, I may have both of you come up here. So you pick me. Oh gosh. Okay. I shouldn't have asked. I should have just said.
There you go.
There you go.
So what am I doing?
So I would like you to share with us an experience you've had when having the right perspective, having a big picture thought process has helped you achieve goals and dreams.
That was a good question. If I'm looking at it on family basis, I gained a lot of perspective when I discovered the real daughter that was living in my house. That's when I gained perspective, is when there was a time when, as a person, you may see someone else's family have disruptions, and it's easy to say, wow, look at their kids of that family. Their kid went out and broke into a convenience store and stole beer and cigarettes and then got busted and he went to jail. Man, I'm glad I'm not their parents. And those parents must be this, or I can pass judgment so easily. And then you can experience similar things, but different. So I'm not saying my kids broke into a convenience store.
You just don't get caught.
But when I see what goes on behind the scenes, what really happens, then you develop a perspective. Do I know what the perspective was of the neighbor whose son breaks in? No. Do I know what happened at home, or 3 weeks before that, or 3 years before that, to get him into the place where he's making this decision now and what that decision means? In the past, I just saw an action and made a judgment. And now I see things in a different light. I have perspective. And when I see youth, troubled youth, go through challenges, I look at it from a space of pure non-judgment, love, empathy, etc., because we don't know. The one thing I do know is, what can I do to help that person? That's one thing I can do. What can I do to step in to that family if I know them and say, what can I do to help you or serve you? Not knowing what the true things are, but I know when we went through things, and when when the realness of what you were experiencing came to light, and you were going through change and trying to put your head in a path that sent you down a different road, people would come to us with no judgment at all and just extend love and openness and say, wow, I don't know what you're going through, but whatever you're going through, is there anything we can do to help? Or, I love the direction your daughter's going through. I don't know the details. And it really helps me to the point where now I just see things. And it goes beyond families and their kids. Now, even in business, when people act a certain way, and you may be shocked at the way someone acts in business or in a professional life, but we don't know what's behind the scenes. And it's all perspective. And I've just developed this mindset of, as long as I'm doing good and I'm being good, I know that good's going to come back. And if I can just have that frame of reference in any situation, I'm safe. And not only am I safe, but I'm doing good along the way. And that's been my new, well, you hear me say it all the time, it's written on papers and on posters in our house. And a lot of that is because of raising our family and seeing what really goes on and having that type of a perspective. So for me, it's all about being non-judgmental and purely, how can we help? That help?
Yeah, that was great. That's a whole new perspective on the whole perspective topic. So thank you. Perspective-ception.
Perspective-ception.
No, those are really good points. I didn't actually, because you hear all the time, don't judge, or don't judge a book by its cover, all these things. And it's so easy to do. Everybody does it. I do it. But it's a good point. We need to have the perspective of, we're not in their life. We're not in their shoes. We don't know what they're going through. And it's easy to see somebody, even like their Facebook wall. That doesn't mean that's their life. That's something I've learned, is just because that's what's posted on their social media, that doesn't mean their life is all chummy. Sometimes it means that it's them putting out a facade, and you might need to, be extra sensitive to those friends. So those are things that I've noticed. We have a little more time. Mother, would you like to share something?
You ready, Preston?
This ought to be good.
Well,
scary.
on perspective, well, I just want to say that when I had that really big impression that I just was to the point with you that really, honestly, it had to be divine intervention. And I'm just grateful for that. And the amazing thing was when you came back that I watched to see if you were going to change your friends. And because I think that was a huge turning point, because when you're developing yourself to be a different person, you need people around you that are going to support you in the ways that you want to be in a good way. And so I think that was a really critical choice, those choices that you made when you came back. And I think it also shows that you're really serious. You're really serious about changing who you were. And that was amazing. That was amazing to me. I know I had a real shift in my perspective about something where I had kind of, we know our thoughts draw in things to us, and that thoughts really do have a frequency. They actually do attract things into our life. And I remember, just because of so many challenging things that you had been through, and with certain boyfriends that you had, these boyfriends weren't necessarily what I would have chosen for you. And so I remember feeling sad as a mom. I remember feeling really sad as a mom and kind of having thoughts like, it was almost like I felt like I just had to face reality. That the hopes and dreams of the husband that I wanted for you was not going to show up because of just the circumstances. And I received just such a very strong impression to stop thinking that way right then. It was like, do not limit her choices in her life by what you think. And that was very, I appreciate that. And that was very startling to me, because I thought I was just facing reality, right? I just thought, okay, I need to accept this. And yet, I think that's a great example of how miracles happen. Miracles are all around us. And if we can rise above and think better things, who knows what can happen in our lives. So I'm just very blessed. A big part of my perspective, and that I have a very larger perspective, I guess, is because of this beautiful gift that I got given of a daughter that went through lots and lots of challenges that I didn't experience, and made choices that I didn't make. And so I was able to understand a whole different side of life that I would have, and have, and just have a more, and like our older son, he has learning challenges, and that was never something that my family dealt with, and so I just feel like I've been given these gifts of opportunity to grow my soul and really be able to understand a vast many more people. So,
Thank you very much for that.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Dad.
So
I guess he needs more camera time.
I've just been sitting there thinking, I don't know why it came to me, but Johnny Cash came to mind as I've been sitting there. And a particular song that Johnny Cash sang, which is called A Boy Named Sue.
Oh boy.
Have you heard that song, A Boy Named Sue?
I have not.
Okay, so if you're watching this, you've never heard it, you can easily, you're on YouTube right now, when this is over, go to YouTube and Google or YouTube Johnny Cash, A Boy Named Sue, and listen to the words.
I don't think we should.
Because it's a good song about perspective. So it's a song of this boy who grew up and found out as he was a youngster, my name is Sue. And it really sucks going to school being named Sue, because everyone teases me and bullies him, and he made a vow. My life sucks so bad. The man that left me named me Sue and then left my mother and left me fatherless with a girl's name. I'm gonna hunt him down and I'm gonna kill him. That's the song. And so he spends his life going from town to town, bar to bar, looking for the dirty old raunchy man that named him Sue. And sure enough, eventually he comes into a bar and he meets the man. He walks up to the man, taps him on the shoulder and says, "My name is Sue. How do you do? Now you're gonna die." And they break out into a big bar brawl fight in the song, amongst the blood and the beer and the mud or the gunk. Anyways, it's just a song about now they're fighting and they're punching and they're kicking and they're screaming and they're throwing chairs over each other's heads. And then pretty soon they come to their senses and the boy or the dad has a chance to say, son, I know you can beat me up. I know you can probably kill me and I wouldn't blame you if you do. But before you kill me, let me tell you why I named you Sue. And then he tells him, he says, I knew, he says, growing up's tough enough as it is, and if I'm not there to be your dad, how in the heck would you survive? So I gave you that name to make you tough. Because I knew that you'd either have to die or become tough with a boy named Sue. And so before you kill me, I just wanted you to know that. And then the song, Johnny Cash says, well, now I'm sitting here with my dad, and now we're crying. I'm kind of walking away with a different point of view. And then he says at the end, they hug each other. He's not going to kill him. And then he says at the end, when I die, or if I ever have a kid, I'm going to name him Bill or George. Anyone but Sue. I still hate that name. But anyways, it's a great song, and it's a total song about perspective, because you don't know. The guy's out there looking for his dad, and then he gets a different point of view. And I think that we all need those in our lives, different points of view, to take time to think about it before we go out there and do something as drastic as, end someone's life for giving you a horrible name. So with that, I just thought I'd add to perspective. And now I'm gonna
Thank you, Sue.
walk over here.
So anyway, that is a little bit about me and perspective and why it is so important in my life. And I think that Matt do you have a message for us?
Yep.
All right, well then Matt will be right up. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Sasha. That was fantastic. Really appreciate that. As mentioned at the beginning, we do this as part of our business, so now's the portion we'll segue into telling you a little bit about it. I want to start with something that talks a little bit about perspective, if I can. This is something I learned from Chris Miles, who, if you go to his website, is moneyripples.com. You can check him out. He has some really awesome stuff. And if you can just take a moment and think, close your eyes if you choose to, but I want you to bring into your mind a number. The number that represents the monthly income that you bring home each month. What is that number, if you can put it into your head? Then I want you to ask you to do some math with me. Take that number, divide by 2, cut it in half. Take what that number is, and imagine a different perspective for a moment. That something, whatever it is, has happened, and that is now your monthly income. Whatever half of your normal monthly income, that's now your monthly income. Take that perspective for a moment. Internalize it for just a moment. What comes up for you? What does that bring up? Now, for some people, I know for me, when I first heard this, the first thing I thought of was, that was about to express the emotion. It was just a sound. It was a sense of, it was a tensity in my stomach. It was, a reaction of concern. And so I don't want to stay there too long. So don't worry, that's not where you're at, right? You are making whatever you bring in. But now take another perspective for a second. Whatever that number was, add it again to your current income. So if you're making $3,000, you have to take $1,500 and add it, so $4,500 a month, let's say. How does that feel? How does that perspective feel? Another sound. That's great. Yeah, for me, it's exciting. I'm a numbers guy, and I immediately start thinking, oh, I can do this, I can do this. I'm gonna put this here, I'm gonna put this here. I got a plan in 10 seconds, and then the next 10 seconds, I plan it again another whole different way. I love to play with numbers like that. Me and spreadsheets, we'd be friends. So it's interesting, though, to note that I didn't say anything about how much money was in your bank account. It could be zero, it could be $1 million. It didn't matter. What mattered was the flow, right? How much was coming through. And that, for me, was a different perspective. Because I know that I personally had suffered from, and I believe that in America in general, we do have a social epidemic of accumulation mindset, where the mindset is we hoard all we can, save it up, keep everything we can, grab onto it, don't let it go, and hope that by the time we're 70, we don't have to work at Walmart, because we're going to have enough to make it till we die, and hopefully we can die soon enough. That, to me, is a sad perspective. And that was my perspective. But I knew I didn't want it to be. I'm a numbers guy. I'd done the math. I could see that this wasn't going to work out for me. And so I was looking for something different. I didn't know what yet, but I was looking. I looked at real estate because I knew that real estate was something people did and made a lot of money with, and so I wanted to look at it. And I went to some real estate education. If you're familiar with the real estate education world, I got some of that, went to a couple of seminars here and there, and pretty much got turned off to the idea, simply because when you learn something, the first thing you realize is how much you don't know, right? And I'll admit, I feel like I'm the world's worst handyman. Like real estate, I'm not interested in getting a call to fix the sink, because let me tell you, I don't even know how to fix the sink. I got to call someone else. It's not my thing. It's not my competency, and I don't want it to be, right?
That's probably why it's not.
Right. And I want the benefits that real estate has to offer, but I didn't want the work and the know-how and all of that would go into it. It's not what I want to be my profession. So as I looked through this, everything I saw was at the end of the day, you get a book and you're on the corner of the street with some knowledge and a good luck, go for it. And that wasn't going to serve me. So I kind of given up. But I also have a belief that on this planet, we are stewards. And for me, what that means is that nothing that I own is my own. And I'm not saying I don't believe in property ownership. I very much do. But what I'm saying is, in my belief system, I believe that I am a steward to a higher power, a master, God. And that all that I have is for me to use to bless others, and including my own family. And that is a different mindset than hoarding it up or squandering it away. It's a mindset of, I need to take care of this, of my resources, and create an increase. Create something of value for others that also creates a return for me and for my master. Because that's what a steward does, right? A steward is trying to create an increase to maintain himself and to provide for the master. That's a steward's stewardship. So as I was looking, realizing that, learning bit by bit that resources are to be used, I found a company called REIC at the time. It's now called Strongbrook. And I was invited to go, and I didn't want to hear their evening seminar. And because I'd been to a lot of them about real estate, and my father-in-law was telling me, you should go, just check it out. And I didn't want to. I had no interest. And my wife finally said, let's just humor him. You can go. You don't have to do anything. Sit in the back. Don't worry about it. I said, fine, I'll go. So I sat in the back corner, my arms crossed, very condescending. Must admit, I just had that feel it because I've been to so many places that I had it. And I was surprised to find someone that said something different. They told me, you know what? We don't want you to go do real estate because, quite frankly, we don't trust you to do it right. And I said, thank you. Neither do I. That's my point. It's not my competency. And he said, it is our competency, not yours. I said, you're right. Thank you for being honest. And that just was different. So we did our due diligence. We researched it. We looked into it, and we decided it was for us. They gave us a game plan. Speaking of perspective, they outlined for us, here's what we could do for you in 10 years with real estate. If if this resonates with you, if this works for you, this is what we would do for you. And I looked at that and said, that's what I'm wanting. That's the kind of lifestyle, that's the kind of use of resources that I am trying to create. So for us, it was a fit. We joined, and that was about 4.5 years ago now. And since then, they've helped us purchase 2 investments. They've helped us purchase our own home here, and also a third investment that's in a partnership with someone else. And our name's on title. We own it. We're receiving the cash flow. The equity increases, and it's been a phenomenal experience for us. Hey, we're in the middle of a meeting, Galen. You want to join us?
No, I don't. I'm gonna go home. I'm dropping this off. If you don't want it, I'll take it back with me.
I want it. I know what it is. It's about Ben and Jerry's, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, I'm just telling you that I put a couple of little funny things on here. If you don't like it too bad, I put them on anyway.
All right, sounds good. I'll enjoy them.
See ya.
Thanks, Galen. So this is my neighbor. I gotta just tell you who this was. This is my neighbor. She's a delightful woman, and she actually recorded the news from Pre-Cone Day when I did it. And I never got to see it because I was in the middle of doing Pre-Cone Day. And so I'll get to go watch it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't it great to have good neighbors? I love it. So they've helped us purchase these homes, and we are just very grateful for what they're doing for us and the road that we're on in creating that game plan, following that game plan. And they do all the work for us. I call the shots, which really means they show me properties that pretty much all look the same. They have different numbers, and I say, I like that one, and they say, okay, let's go. And it works out. They have a very specific strategy to do this. They do the same thing over and over. It creates predictability, and it works. And that's the key. It works. And even when the market was going up, they were investing, and when it crashed, they were doing fine. Clients were still doing okay because of the strategy that works. And that's what professional investors do. Consumer investors with more of a hoarding mindset tend to gamble, not invest. And that's what these experts help me do, is invest. And it's no longer a gamble game. And that is what I appreciate about them, because now I'm using my resources to bless others who are in homes, have a place to live, and I'm creating an increase for myself, my family, and my master. So that is what this company does. They help you do real estate. It's called Done For You, or Facilitated Real Estate. And it's Strongbrook. So telling you a little bit about that. Sorry, I'm bringing myself back to the presentation after a little interruption. So to participate in Strongbrook, it can be anywhere from $99 a month to get started up to a one-time of $16,000. It can be many things in between. And it depends on where you're at, what your game plan, what your needs are. And they will, if you're interested, if that piques your interest, if it resonates with you, let us know, talk to us, we can answer questions, and we can get you that free game plan. There's no obligation, no pressure to it. It's just, hey, this is what we can help you create in 10, maybe 15 years, depending on where you're at, maybe 5 years. What does that look like for you? Does it resonate? Does it not? If so, great. You may want to play. Now, I want to do another perspective for a moment. So before I do, Strongbrook has essentially 3 pillars. Facilitated real estate is one of them. And now I'm going to talk about the other 2. This one is entrepreneurship. I want to transition to that. I want to imagine for a moment that you are a business owner. And you're running a business, it's still going well, you have a significant cash flow coming through, and of that, you are spending $100,000 a month on marketing, be it billboards or radio ads, TV ads, you name it. $100,000 a month on marketing. And then you find out something. You find out that your current clients are referring people to you and sending people to you, and they're saying, hey, I just, my friend just signed up. Would it be okay if I got a little bit of a thank you check for that since I referred them to you? What would you say? You all right with that? Yeah, sure. I'll do that. Now imagine that you look at it and over 60% of your business, of your new clients, are coming in through this just random referrals. And only a little over 40% of, or under 40% of your business is coming through the traditional $100,000 a month marketing. Now, as a business owner, what are you going to do?
Really think about reallocating your resources.
Yeah, you're going to think about that stewardship of your resources, right?
Yeah.
Figure $100,000 versus just paying people to actually come in. So that was the exact situation of Strongbrook. They saw all this happening. They said, okay, we're shutting down this $100,000 a month spend, and we're going to come over here and say, let's pay people really, really well to refer clients to us. To the point where if they wanted, they could create a business, a life's income, just referring clients to us because we pay them so well. That's what they did. And that is our business here. When we say that part of our business, that's our business. We refer people to Strongbrook. If it resonates with you and you sign up, we get a thank you check for it. And we're very pleased to do that because it's made such a difference for our lives, and it's a natural thing to want to share it. And so if this interests you, great. Then you can participate. If it interests you on the entrepreneurship side to build a business of this, awesome. We can help you get started and do that too. And just as we're doing, and you can link in with us and we can hold your hand, lead you along, get you started, and help you build some income in referring people to this excellent servicing company. Lastly, I want to transition from there to some more experience that was had inside the company that leads to the third pillar, which is personal growth and development. When people come to do real estate, they pay this money, maybe $16,000, maybe $8,000, to come participate, maybe $99 a month. And when they get to the point that they're ready to invest in a property, they're sitting down, everything's ready, they see the numbers, the deal's on the table, and they're ready to just say, go. A lot of people were getting cold feet. Even though they had already invested that upfront money, it was time to play, and they said, well, is this the right, I don't know if this is what I want to do. And so the coach, there was assigned to them, because when you're a client, you get a coach that is your person to work with you on all the different aspects of, connect you with the right people, then financing and the real estate agent and, all the different parts. They suddenly turned into, instead of just connector, they started becoming, okay, let's be a mentor here and help you get through your blocks. Let's get through your where you're stuck, so you can move forward and get real estate and create this income for yourself. Also, the founder of this company, his name is Chris Crone, he was a big believer, is a big believer in mentorship. When he started out, he sought out mentors to help him teach and learn how to invest in real estate. Because he was able to make a lot of money himself in real estate before he ever even started the company, he's been able to invest in himself with high world-class mentors, hundreds of thousands of dollars working with people one-on-one. And from each one, he gets some gems. You get some gems when you work with different people and learn from different people. And that's what we're providing here with Weekly Wise, is hopefully different gems that you pick up along the way. And he wanted to bring that mentorship to the common man. No more, you have to be someone who has hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in yourself to be able to get those gains, get that personal growth. Everyone, we all need to grow our minds. We've all grown up with different things that we've internalized improperly. We're wonderful observers. We're horrible interpreters as a human race. And it goes back to that perspective. How can we change our perspective, change our paradigm, change what our understanding so that we can move forward and create more of the life we want. Find more success, be it in relationships, be it in finances, be it in personal fitness. However, whatever it may be, in parenting. So I mentioned in parenting because one of the mentors that works with us is over parenting, and she's been a true inspiration for me as a parent. So as a result of all this belief and desire in personal growth and mentorship, we've created what's called the Strongbrook Mentor Network, where we've invited all these different top-notch mentors from across the country and even out of the country. It's starting to go international, starting to creep out, and said, will you come and donate your content? Not the free stuff you do for marketing, but the home study kits that you charge significant amounts of money for, and would you donate it and put it in this vault, in this online repository, where we can all access it, and we can make it available to people for a subscription for $99 a month. And people who are doing this, these mentors, these trainers, are saying, I want to get my message out. I want to, their motivation is to make a difference in people's lives. And this is a way to access a lot of people to do that. So they're saying, yes, I'm thrilled to put my content in here, and it gets me exposure for one, but also I get to make an impact on more people's lives. And now, even the common man that doesn't make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year can access this world-class mentorship. So that is the third pillar of personal development. And I want to tell you why this resonates with me. I believe, just as I believe we're stewards, just as I believe resources are meant to be used, not hoarded or squandered, I believe that lifelong learning is not just a nice idea. I believe that lifelong learning is a fundamental characteristic of our life's purpose. It's why we're here. And so this is a portal to lifelong learning for me. It is one of the most excellent tools I have seen to access any area that I want to improve my life, that I can go and reach out and find content that can help my perspective, that can help my paradigm, that can develop myself into the person I want to be. And that's what it's all about for me. If that resonates with you, then this may be a good fit. If it doesn't, if you don't believe the way I do, that's just fine. You probably aren't interested. It won't do anything for you, and that's okay. But if it does, talk to us. We'll get you hooked up. We have a free app coming out soon that will provide some content even just for free. And if $99 a month feels like a stretch, there's also ways to get it free. We can help you refer 3 people. And if you do that, you don't even have to pay your $99 a month anymore, because it's being made available to the common man, to all of us. And with that, that is our business. That's what we do at Strongbrook. We have the pillar of facilitated real estate, of entrepreneurship through referrals, and through personal growth, personal development. So thank you. Very glad to have you all here. Appreciate your time. And it is time for some Ben & Jerry's.
Woo!
And Sasha's favorite flavor, she said one of her favorite flavors at least, is half-baked. We have plenty of that. It is, actually, I'll tell you, half-baked only in the last few years became the #1 top-selling flavor of Ben & Jerry's. Before that, it was Cherry Garcia for many years.
Oh,
But but now it's half-baked. So with that, we are going to go have some Ben & Jerry's. To those of you online, please join us. You want some of this, and be here. It's a fun experience, and it's fun to have some Ben & Jerry's. Next week, I want to tell you I'm excited for as well. We have a special guest coming. His name is Skylar Hamilton. And this man, when you talk about someone who's dedicated to learning, this man is it. And his passion is history, and specifically constitutional history. He is amazing. And now this will be the Tuesday before the Saturday of 4th of July. If you want to prep yourself for 4th of July, come next week. It will be an excellent. When I listen to him, I honestly feel like, so do you just hang out with these founding fathers all the time? Like, because you obviously are chummy with them, and you can just tell by the way he talks. I've seen lists of books that he's read. Anyway, it's technical stuff. It's stuff that I look at and I'm like, woo. But he can explain it. It'll be a fantastic thing. So if you're looking to get yourself ready and get your family ready for 4th of July, definitely be here next Tuesday. With that, thank you all. Have a good week.
Awesome.